Hey everyone, this is Dr. Blakeney. Welcome to U.S. History for Expats 2024 election. I'm going to tell you in a few minutes about who is running for president, how it's going to work, some different outcomes, and finish with a quick game you can play, one of the best activities I do in the regular classroom. So let's start by looking at the two parties that are running for the president. Now, the U.S. has a system where we have two parties, but that's just by tradition. It's not by law or anything like that. Just over the course of time, we've created two major parties. The Republicans, represented by the elephant, sometimes referred to as the Grand Old Party, and the Democrats, represented by a donkey. In this election, we have former President Donald Trump and his Vice President J.D. Vance running against current Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Now let's talk a little bit about the parties to see what we are talking about. The Republicans tend to want a smaller government. They want the government to have less influence on your life, or you could think about that as having more options to do different things in your life. The Democrats, on the other hand, tend to have a larger government that provides more services and benefits more people. Now, in order to do that, you have to have taxes. So Republicans generally want less taxes so you can spend your money the way you want rather than paying taxes. And the Democrats generally want some people, mostly middle Americans and upper class Americans, to pay a little bit more taxes so that they can provide more services for everyone. Both parties know that taxes need to be provided, but they differ on many other issues. For example, Republicans tend to be pro-life and Democrats tend to be pro-choice. If you're not sure what that means, maybe ask a parent or something like that. As far as the military goes, both parties want a big, strong military. Republicans focus a little bit more on defense and a bigger military. Democrats may want a little bit less money spent on the military. Although, again, they both want them to be very protect us. So let's move into voting. And in order to vote, we have this system called the Electoral College. When the Constitution was created, they decided that they wanted a step between the actual people voting and the person becoming president. So they created this thing called the Electoral College. And here is a map of the United States, and you can see states have different numbers. So for example, my home state of Kentucky has 8, Florida has 30, Texas has 40, California is the most with 54, and then Wyoming, North and South Dakota have 3. So what do these numbers represent? Well, in an election, we vote for different people, and then we cast our electoral ballots. And so in this case, for example, Montana here has 4 votes. So if the Republicans win by 1 vote, they get all 4 of those Electoral College votes. In Virginia, which many of you are probably from, 13 votes. So if the Democrats win by 1 million votes, they get 13 Electoral College votes. So that's how our system works. Nebraska and Maine, they divide those up, and we'll see that on the next map here. So this is the current map, and you're like, whoa, what is this? So let's look at it a little more closely. Anything in blue represents states that have traditionally voted for the Democrats. The darker the blue, the more likely that is to go to a Democratic candidate, in this case, Vice President Kamala Harris. So the West Coast, solidly Democratic. The President Trump, Vice President Harris probably are not spending too much time focusing on those states because they both know that the Democrats are most likely going to win it. In the South here, these states here, again, most likely, almost assuredly going to go towards for Donald Trump. So if you look up here, we have 191 votes for Democrats that are solid, 122 for Republicans. You add all the reddish colors, we get 219 for the Republicans and 226 for the Democrats. Well, if you add all these numbers up, you get 538. So you divide that in half, you need 270 to win. So this is from the website 270 to win. And if we look at the Electoral College for this year, we can see that there are 93 votes that are not sure if they're going to go towards the Republicans or towards the Democrats. Now, of course, this is just based on polling and what has happened in the past. So the states that are kind of up for grabs, toss-up states, sometimes called swing states: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. So these states are getting bombarded by these candidates. They have tons and tons of ads. People are really unsure what's going to happen. Pennsylvania is of special focus, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So if we look at these states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, make up what we call the blue wall. So traditionally, they have gone towards the Democrats. And if we look at the map, the next map here, I made these three states just very slightly Democratic, and then the other states, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, I made them slightly Republican. If we look, this is super close. 270 for the Democrats and 268 for the Republicans. So it's going to be a super tight race. Any of those states could go one way or the other, and if they do, there's lots of different things. But Pennsylvania is the one that we probably are going to focus on most. In the past, Ohio has been that, Florida has been that in different elections, but this time we're focusing on Pennsylvania. So let's just switch Pennsylvania from the Democrats to the Republicans, and let's see what happens. Remember, we're at 270, exactly the number you need, and the Republicans have 268. So if we switch Pennsylvania to the Republicans, we now have a totally different president. The Democrats have dropped to 251, and the Republicans have gone up to 287. So this election is super tight. It's probably not going to be decided on November 5th when we all cast our votes, but it's going to be super close. So if you're interested in learning more, there's this great game from iCivics called Win the White House. You act like you're a presidential candidate, and you go and you do different things to see if you can win the presidency. Now, that's just a super brief overview. Not everything I said is, somebody could argue that that's not right, or because we live in a very divisive political time in the United States. The last time it was like this was after Reconstruction, where the Democrats and the Republicans were at each other, kind of like they are today. So let's see what happens, and please reach out if you have any questions. You can put them in the comments at the bottom here or email me. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions, with the exception of who are you going to vote for. And I look forward to seeing you in the classroom soon. Take care. Bye-bye.